until he retired in 2011. He has enjoyed an extensive career as an art educator, curator, administrator, critic, and author, both locally and abroad. He holds postgraduate degrees in art history and sociology of education. And while he was at BYU, he was awarded a J. Paul Getty Fellowship for his PhD study investigating interpretive practices at some of America's leading art museums. A scholar of Karl Momen's work, we're really excited to have him here tonight to talk briefly about this Shakespeare suite that Momen did, but also I want just everyone to know that Karl Momen, the artist, will actually be here in November to give a public talk on November 21st. So you might want to save that date, and we'll have more information for you later. And then we do, just before I turn it over to Herman, we do have a membership table where you can learn more about our Friends of Summa membership program. And this is the last 2 days to see our Kate Starling exhibit. It comes down this weekend, and then we'll be...
Thanks so much, first of all, for Jessica's fantastic introduction. And she didn't say anything bad about me, that's a good thing. And thank you for coming. Really appreciate the fact that you not only are supporting the arts, but you also come to see specifically Karl Momen's work. Now, Karl Momen is a most interesting phenomenon because he is a slice of history, art history. He's a living slice of art history at 85 years of age. I first encountered him when I first came to this country 26 years ago from South Africa, and I was assigned at BYU to curate an exhibition of his work. And at that time, he had just finished that enormous monolithic sculpture out on the I-80 near Wendover called the Tree of Utah, or the Tree of Life. And he was given an exhibition at Springville Museum of Art and then also at the BYU Museum of Art. I was intrigued to find a piece of European constructivism stuck out in the Great Western Desert in the United States. Really intrigued, and I was excited to learn more about his work. And when you curate an exhibition of an artist, you have to get to know every little jot and tittle about their work and about themselves. You have to learn who they are, you have to learn what motivated them, you have to know the complete overview of their work. And in doing so, I found the most interesting facts about this man and his connection to the tradition of formalism in Western art. And there are a couple of books written about him that are on Amazon. One is called Vision in the Desert, about the Tree of Utah sculpture. But interestingly, there are two major influences that make his work significant for us today. One is, interestingly, during the year that we celebrate the centennial of the founding of the Bauhaus School of Art and Design in Weimar, Germany in 1919, it's now 2019?
Yeah, years. Scary, huh?
Anyway, it's 100 years since the founding of the Bauhaus, and his design school that he attended in the 1940s, just after the end of the Second World War, was heavily influenced by the Bauhaus, by the style, the Bauhaus, and also by constructivism. And he is a product of that international school of design that has influenced art and architecture for the past 100 years. He was also a colleague of Le Corbusier, the founder of the international style in architecture. And it's basically about formalism and significant form. It's about simple abstraction, geometric abstraction, and symbolism. And that's what his paintings are all about. But beyond that, he also epitomizes what is known as Gesamtkunstwerk. And this is a German term that was coined in the 1920s and used extensively by Robert Wagner to describe the consummate, all-encompassing qualities of the art event. Meaning, it's more than just a painting, it's also the music that goes with it, it's about dance, it's about choreography, it's about the venue, it's about architecture, it's the sum total of the art experience. Everything comes together. And that's how Robert Wagner saw his productions. And Momen was educated in that tradition. In those days, Gropius and the other architects who established the Bauhaus were architects. They were more than that. They were set designers. Momen has designed sets. He was honored by the San Francisco Opera for some of his work up there, and he's an architect and a sculptor and a painter, and he loves the opera. And he's got another suite of paintings on the work of Wagner. So he epitomizes that whole concept of Gesamtkunstwerk. So between those two things, the Bauhaus on the one hand, using symbolism, simple, clean lines, usually rectilinear lines, as Le Corbusier did in his architecture, which is now the basis for all modern architecture up to about 1960. All office blocks, many houses, apartment buildings were built in the international style, and it's rectilinear, and it's simple, and it's functional. And that was also part of their mandate. They wanted to produce art that was of functional value to society. Drove the Bauhaus people to do this. They were disbanded by Hitler. He thought they were degenerate. They came to the United States, and Gropius founded the Harvard School of Architecture. And the rest is history. Interestingly, Momen also worked with Max Ernst. Max Ernst was one of the he was like a symbolist, and he also looked towards what he called theosophy, the hidden symbolism contained in forms and shapes. So that's also part of what Momen brings to his artwork. So he's been very active. He lives part of his time in West Palm Beach during the European winters, and then he goes across to Stockholm. He has a very nice place in Stockholm that he spends the summers in, and he still works prolifically. He has hundreds of paintings, and he has been very precious about selling them. He's never really wanted to sell his work. His work is represented in museums, several museums. One is the Nordic Heritage Museum in Seattle. The newly, very expensively bought his Robert Wagner suite, and it's prominently shown in that museum. And in a way, his work is timeless because it has this powerful, eternal gestalt that you cannot deny. It's a simple formula that he uses that touches people's intellect through their emotions and their rational perception of form, but he modulates it with this subtle brushstroke that he brushes his shapes with, that somehow breaks the rigor of the geometric compositions. And he does this extensively in some of his works. Anyway, that is just a little snapshot of Karl Momen. Thank you for attending.
Thank you.